is on our call. And my name is Irene Suttner, and I have the privilege of introducing my friend, Kristin Finley. She's going to be presenting our talk tonight. I want to give you a little background on Kristin. Kristin is a registered dietitian and a personal trainer in Tucson, Arizona. She grew up in Boise, Idaho. I hear some feedback. Okay, great. And attended college at Oregon State University, where she competed for the top 10 ranked gymnastic team. After receiving her degree in dietetics, she completed her dietetic internship at Barnes Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri. She worked in clinical dietetics for 10 years and then took a break to raise the 3 boys she had with her husband, Charlie. Their family moved around a bit as Charlie flew F-15s for the United States Air Force. They arrived at Davis Monthan in 2012 and decided to stay when Charlie retired from active duty in 2017. About this time, Kristin started her own business, Daily Dose Fitness and Nutrition, and partnered up with the Juice Plus company. She now helps people who are looking to regain their health and their vitality. Kristin, take it away.
Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. I appreciate it. Hey, Heidi, can you make me a co-host so I can share screen? I should have done that before. I'm sorry. Everyone, bear with me. There we go. Why oh, here we go. I'm going to share screen real quick. You guys can see my screen now, correct? Okay. And I just need to. There we go. So you should just be seeing at this point, just the first slide. You see me and those 3 boys that caused me to be a stay-at-home mom for 15 plus years. They're now almost grown. The baby there in the orange shirt is going to be he's a senior in high school, so he'll be graduating this year, and the others are 21 and almost 23. So anyway, you see my family. But again, Irene, thank you so much for the great introduction, and I'm assuming that everyone is here because for one reason or another, they're contemplating a health journey. And, I'm here because about 6 years ago, I decided it's kind of an amazing that a registered dietitian would wait until she's almost 50 years old to go on a health journey. But honestly, up until that point in my life, I really didn't feel like I needed to. And but around the time I turned 50, I just really wanted to make sure that I was doing what I could to be here as long and as healthy as I could on this earth. So I embarked on a health journey that really changed not only my life, but it changed my family's life, and it's changed a lot of lives of people that I've been honored and privileged to work with. So I'm super passionate about it. I love sharing what I've learned before 6 years ago through my dietetics education, and what I've learned in the last 6 years in putting what I practice sort of into preach, I guess, so that I can practice what I preach. But at any rate, a health journey is very personal, and there's a lot of reasons to to start one. And for some people, let's be honest, it's weight loss. That tends to be what I hear a lot of times. For other people, they're worried about heart disease. Some are working to improve their immune system, and I think in the last couple of years we've seen that more than ever before. Some people have autoimmune diseases that they're trying to conquer or at least get under control. Others have gut issues that they are trying to get under control. And then we have people that are either going through cancer treatment and or trying to prevent a cancer diagnosis. So whatever the reason is, I just want you to know that you are not alone, because chronic disease is a huge issue in our country. And chronic disease is any disease lasting more than a year. 6 in 10 Americans have a chronic disease. I just want to let that sink in for just a second, because that's 60% of us have a chronic disease, and 4 in 10 have 2 or more chronic diseases. So in our country, chronic disease is the leading cause of death and disability. And the top 7 diseases that lead to this death and disability are heart disease, cancer, chronic lung disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and chronic kidney disease. There's a lot of other chronic diseases. I mentioned autoimmune disease. Digestive disorders are huge in our country. Arthritis and obesity are just some. So it's very common to have a chronic disease, as you can see. But what I hope you walk away from this is knowing that even though it's common, it's not necessarily normal. It's not normal. That there are a lot of things that we can do to change our health picture and either prevent or make our symptoms less, or completely prevent chronic disease. So chronic disease doesn't only kill us, but it is also hugely expensive. So in our country, we spend $11,000 per person in the country for healthcare costs per year. And that is almost 3 times the amount as other developed countries in the they call it the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It's a group of 38 developed countries. So of those 38 countries, we spend $11,000. The average is just over $4,000. So as you can see in the red there, we spend a lot of money on healthcare. And you would think that because we spend a lot of money on healthcare, that we have great health outcomes in our country. But I just like to point out the same organization here, the OECD, we don't really have any better health outcomes, and actually we're kind of near the bottom or in most categories for our healthcare outcomes in the United States. I think other than heart attack mortality, we are less than half. On a scale of worst to best, we are more toward the worst than the best for what we spend on healthcare. And it kind of leads me to, how does our healthcare system work? And really, in our country, we are kind of a sick care. We treat sick care, or we treat illness, is what I'm trying to say. We are a medication first approach when it comes to treating chronic disease. And that means you go to the doctor and you get diagnosed with the problem, and medication tends to be the first line of treatment for treating that illness. And we have great medicine in our country, and I don't want to be down on medication, because when it's needed, it does a great job. But the problem in using medication solely as the only method of treatment with chronic disease is that it really just sort of puts a Band-Aid on it. It doesn't really treat the underlying cause of the disease. So if you have heart disease and you have a high cholesterol, and they give you a statin to manage that high cholesterol, maybe you need a statin, but in our country, we don't really go that extra mile to really put resources. You might get a handout at the doctor's office that says, here's a diet to follow, but that's probably the most that you're going to get. We don't really put a lot of resources and reimbursement into things like, why do you have that heart disease in the first place? What could be causing that? The other thing so that is one of the problems I see with the medication first approach to treating chronic disease. The other thing is that sometimes we give medications, and those medications cause other problems that require more medications and often create more chronic disease. And I think of using diuretics sometimes that takes excess fluid off you. It can also cause problems with things like sodium and potassium and calcium. And that can often lead to more high blood pressure, which is another diagnosis and more medications to then manage that. So it kind of can become a vicious cycle when we take this approach to treating chronic disease. So what I want to ask is, what if we took a look at lifestyle instead of medication as a first line of treatment? And what are we really talking about? And when it comes down to it, there's about 6 things we're actually talking about, and that's nutrition, exercise, stress management, sleep, sleep management, tobacco cessation, and alcohol moderation. So a lot of people just, I know we poo-poo these ideas as ineffective, right? But before we do that, I just want to give you some statistics on how we are, how we do as a nation when it comes to these things. So nutrition-wise, 90% of us are not getting enough fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. 80% of us aren't getting, and I should add that 42% of us are obese. When it comes to exercise, 80% of us don't get enough exercise. Stress management, as we know, it affects the immune system, but we really don't have, there's not really as a nation, we don't really have a place where you can go and have easy access to stress management types of therapies or modalities or place to go that is really supported by our healthcare system. It's very it's difficult to access, actually. We're learning a lot about sleep, and yet we know that 7 to 8 hours of sleep is kind of a minimum that we need to get to really do the things to help with all the things that sleep helps with. And yet 35% of us aren't getting 7 hours of sleep a night. We still have 34.1 million Americans that are smoking daily, and the numbers have dropped, but I am a little worried about all the new smokers that we have with the new vaping trend. But we have a lot of smokers still out there, and 1 in 3 adults is an excessive drinker. So when we want to poo-poo lifestyle changes, I just think that we need to be honest with ourselves and saying, well, those things don't work because honestly, we're not doing them. We're not doing those things. So I don't have really enough time to look at all of these things, but I am a dietitian and I am going to take a look at a little bit more at nutrition. And I want to put up some statistics that the CDC, again, the Centers for Disease Control, have put out. And they say that if we eliminate 3 risk factors, poor diet, inactivity, and smoking, we would prevent 80% of heart disease and stroke, 80% of type 2 diabetes, and 40% of cancers. And that's a lot. Now, I think it might be a little bit idealistic to think that we're going to eliminate those risk factors, but man, if we could even make a dent in those risk factors, look at the huge impact that we could have on really making a dent in some of those chronic diseases that are causing us to die and causing us to be in poor health way before we should. And here's an interesting study. This was a study that was published in 2019 in Public Library of Science Medicine. And there was a team at Tufts University and Brigham Women's Hospital, and it was modeled for 2 healthy food incentive policies. So it wasn't actually done. They actually just, I don't know, I'm not a researcher, but they took, they made a model and they just predicted, using, I don't know, whatever algorithms or whatever that they use. And they looked at what would happen if we gave people subsidies or prescriptions and helped pay for, one of them looked at 30% subsidy for fruits and vegetables, and one looked at a 30% subsidy for healthy foods in general. So in the first group, if fruits and vegetable incentive was carried out over a lifetime, the model estimated that the average consumption of fruits and vegetables would increase by 0.4 servings a day. It's not that much, right? Small little change. But This over the lifetime, this would prevent about 1.93 million cardiovascular disease events and save 39.7 billion in healthcare costs. That's significant for not a very significant bump in how much people would increase their intake of. And in the general healthy foods incentive if the general healthy foods incentive was carried out over the lifetime, the model estimated that the fruit and vegetable intake would increase by the same as above, but we would also increase the consumption of whole grains by 0.2 servings a day, nuts and seeds by 0.1 servings a day, seafood by 0.2 servings, and plant oils by 1.5 teaspoons per day. And this would prevent 3.28 million cardiovascular disease events and 120,000 cases of diabetes and save 100.2 billion in healthcare costs. That's significant. And so when we look at making lifestyle changes, we look at making small changes over a lifetime. And this is the thing that I always like to stress with people that I'm working with is I would rather see one change that you can do forever than 10 changes that you're going to implement on January 1st and ditch by January 15th. One of my favorite little cartoons is it's a little saying, I guess. It says like, I want to open what is it, a health club, and for the first 10 days of the year it'll be a health club, and then it'll change to a bar or something like that, right? So we have a hard time implementing too much at once, and then we say, well, it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because it takes a lifetime of doing good habits to work. But little changes, as in this study, little changes over a long period of time make a big difference. So when it comes down to it, I think it's a lot of, do we want to pay for prevention, or do we want to wait until we get sick and then pay for illness? And, no one can make that decision for anybody. You have to decide for yourself. But I would rather pay more in now to being well and then not have to rely on our sick care, medication first, sort of healthcare system. But because our healthcare system isn't really set up like that, it does take a little bit of us wanting to be responsible for our own health instead of relying on our healthcare system to take care of our preventive health. It's just not set up that way at this time. And it isn't black and white. And I think we are so lucky to live in a country that has great medicine. And I think that we need to absolutely, rely on the medical advances that we have. But I also think we need to be responsible for ourselves and be able to take some preventative measures on our own if we really want to ensure a lifetime of health. So where do we even start a health journey? And it's different for everyone. Some people want to do diet and exercise. Some people want to remove toxins from their home. Others turn to meditation. They're all great places to start. As a dietitian, however, I think the first place that I recommend people start in the healthcare journey is to start with the simple change of, get ready for it, adding more fruits and vegetables to their diet. So, and why is that? It's fruits and vegetables really are the foundation to good health. And, it's interesting. I've been telling people I've been a dietitian for 30 years, and I've been telling people, you got to eat more fruits and vegetables. Like, where's the fruit and vegetable? They give me a diet history. Like, you didn't list any fruit and vegetable on here. And they're like, well, no, I eat a lot. And then they'll tell me that they ate 1 or 2 or 3 servings, or maybe at the very most, but it's not every day. But fruits and vegetables they're not just a nice thing to have. They're absolutely critical that we get them into our bodies every single day. They decrease chronic inflammation, which is the root cause of every chronic disease that we have, right? Inflammation is the root cause. They decrease oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is free radicals, right? Those free radicals hit our tissues and our cells, and they cause a lot of damage. And unless we can neutralize those, we are gonna have a lot of inflammation. And how do we do that? We add antioxidants, right? Fruits and vegetables are the foods that are high in antioxidants. Fruits and vegetables also help to raise our body's pH. And we know that in an alkaline pH environment, cancer can't grow. Okay, where does cancer grow? In an acidic environment. What foods have an acidic pH? Well, let me start with what foods have a alkaline pH. What foods? It's fruits and vegetables. And what foods have an acidic pH? Almost everything else. So if we want to be healthy and have a healthy pH in our body, we want to eat more fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables also support a healthy gut. And I'm telling you, we're spending a ton of money every year on trying to get people's guts healthy. And also fruits and vegetables helps to support a healthy weight. And I think because so many people are part of their health journey is to have a weight loss journey as well. And they are separate things because not everyone that's trying to get healthy wants or needs to lose weight. But I think it's worth it to spend just a little bit of time on how fruits and vegetables, how that actually happens. And it's not just that fruits and vegetables are low in calories and therefore they help you get that negative calorie balance that you need to lose weight. So I don't want people to think that if they eat fruits and vegetables, they can just magically lose weight. You still have to have a calorie deficit. You have to take in fewer calories than your body needs, or than you're putting out, or you have to take in fewer calories than you put out to get into negative calorie balance and lose weight. But here's how fruits and vegetables can actually help. And to understand it, you have to have a little bit of an understanding of toxic load or detoxification. So I'm going to give that to you using this diagram that's here. The little person up on the top part of the screen that has the black dots in him, that those dots are representing toxins in our body. We all have them. We're born with them. They're in the umbilical cord blood of a newborn baby. So we're born with them. And as we go through life, we accumulate more toxins. And they're everywhere. They're in the soil, in the water, and things that we put on our skin. We can't really get away from them. But lucky for us, we have a liver, and our liver is the organ that is responsible for taking the toxins that are the toxins are fat soluble. That means their toxins get enrobed in fat. And that's a good thing because they protect the body from the damaging effects of the toxins when they're wrapped up. They can't hurt the organs and the tissues when they're wrapped up in fat. But as you can see in the middle, that person starts to lose weight by burning calories and exercising and whatnot. But I need to back up just a little bit here. Lucky for us, we have a liver. The liver is responsible for turning toxins from a fat-soluble compound into a water-soluble compound. And once it gets to a water-soluble compound, it can be excreted from the body. So but the liver has to have the right nutrition to make that happen. And fruits and vegetables are what it needs to make that process happen. So if you don't have a lot of produce going into your body, you're not going to have the nutrition your liver needs to turn those fat soluble toxins into a water soluble form. Therefore, when you go to diet, you might lose the weight, but unless you put in a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're still going to have a high toxic load. And now those toxins can't get out of the body because they're still fat soluble, but now they're running rogue in the body because they're not wrapped up in fat anymore because you've lost the fat. So what do? They seek out more fat. They seek out any fat that you take in and they wrap back up in those fat, and you get rebound weight gain. And in the bottom picture, we see what happens if you give the liver the nutrition it needs, i.e. fruits and vegetables, right? You give the body the nutrition it needs, the liver the nutrition it needs, then you still go on that, you're watching your calorie intake or whatever. Now, the liver has been able to convert those fat soluble toxins into a water soluble form. So once you've lost the weight, there's not as much of a toxic load, and the body doesn't have a need to hang on to fat anymore. That's how fruits and vegetables really help in helping to maintain maintain weight. So I hope that's a little bit, I hope that clears that up just a little bit. All right. So, but like I said before, here's the problem. We know how important fruits and vegetables are, but 90% of us, like I said before, are not getting enough. And the people that are getting a lot of fruits and vegetables in their diet, there's a good chance that most of them are not getting enough variety in their diet. See, when you go to convert those fat soluble toxins into a water soluble form, every toxin needs like a different recipe of fruits and vegetables to kind of detoxify that toxin. And so let's say you have a toxin that requires, and this is going to be oversimplified, but let's say you have a toxin that needs the nutrition in broccoli to be able to be detoxified. And your liver is wanting to make that happen, but you haven't eaten broccoli in 3 weeks. And so the body has a couple decisions to make. It can be like, well, I'm going to hold on. I'm going to just stay here wrapped up in this fat and hope that she eats broccoli in the next couple of weeks. Or it can say like, well, she hasn't had broccoli, but she ate asparagus. So I'm going to, do the best I can with the asparagus and maybe get it like halfway detoxified, which is actually sometimes even a worse situation, because when you get a toxin that is no longer enrobed in that fat because it's partially water soluble and partially fat soluble, now you've got a toxin that's running rogue and hitting tissues and organs and things. So sometimes that can be a worse situation than just leaving it wrapped up in the fat. But you need a lot of produce. I'm talking 7 to 13 servings of produce a day minimum. And if you're dealing with a chronic disease, you might even need more than that. So, if you're getting, most of us are getting, I think the CDC says most of us are getting 1 or 2 servings a day. Not enough. It's not going to happen. And we're going to slowly keep building more and more toxins that the body can't get rid of efficiently. So, when we think about that, when we don't get enough fruits and vegetables, not only does it hinder our weight maintenance or our ability to lose weight, but it also hinders our ability to decrease our inflammation or get rid of oxidative stress. It causes problems with our pH. And all the things that fruits and vegetables do, we need those every single day. So, and this is where my health journey really starts. These are pictures of me throughout my life. And other than that crazy haircut that my mom thought was appropriate for my kindergarten picture. So, and I will just say I'm a twin. I have a twin sister, and we had the same kind of crazy haircut, but she looked angelic on that picture, and I looked like a war orphan. If you look really close, I think I have a booger hanging out of my nose. My dad could not look at that picture and not laugh his whole life. He carried it in his wallet, and every now and again he would just pull it out and just start laughing. So, so we have kindergarten, and here's the thing. I'm already I'm 5 or 6 in this picture. And if you look really closely at my bottom, right under my bottom lip there, you can see it's a little inflamed. It was the sign that I was starting to have symptoms of psoriasis at 5 years old. And back then, now it's pretty common for people to have an autoimmune disease when they're 5, when they're younger. But I'm telling you, when I was 5, no one had psoriasis that I knew of. So, I look pretty healthy in all of these, but you can see that at 5 years old, I'm starting to have some problems. That psoriasis would go on to get much worse. It would be on my eyes, around my nose, under my arms, on my stomach, on my legs. I had it full body and scalp. And it would start 43 years of using medication every single day. The second picture, I look pretty healthy. That's me in college competing for Oregon State. It's actually a pretty decent vault. And, I look healthy there, but I had chronic back pain. I was chronic under recovery. I just was always sore. You can see both my ankles are taped there. I also had horrible shin splints that turned into stress fractures in both of my legs that hurt so bad. When I vaulted, I would have to go out before competition and just run out in the foyer there. I would run as hard as I could and pound as hard as I could on the pavement. So then when I got on the little carpet runway, and ran, it wouldn't hurt quite so bad. And then the landings were excruciating. I had 6 surgeries in the 5 years I was at college. One of them was an impingement surgery on my shoulder that was definitely signs that I had more inflammation. And 7 years ago, I'm looking pretty strong and healthy, but that chronic back pain was no better. My hip pain, I had chronic hip pain at that point, debilitating knee pain that later and recently has led to a knee replacement. But I was also dealing with not only that autoimmune disease, but I'd also developed allergies at this point that were requiring eye drops, a nose spray, and a pill every single day. So like I said, I look healthy on the outside. On the inside, I was kind of starting to fall apart. And it was about this time of the last picture that I was introduced to something that I had never heard of as a dietitian. And not once did I ever go to a doctor when I was growing up or a young dietitian and have a doctor ask me, how many servings of fruits and vegetables do you eat a day? And I can tell you it wasn't 7 to 13. Like there was a time in my early 20s, I lived at Taco Bell, and I was not a healthy eater. So despite my education, but so it was about this time that I was introduced to Juice Plus, and I was skeptical. I want to say that I loved it it made total sense from the get-go, but I was so skeptical. I had been trained as a dietitian that everything I needed could be found in the foods that I ate. And that might be true. I don't know if it is today. We have so many processed and foods in our even our farm foods. We're picking foods way before it's ripe, and I don't know how nutritious they are. But what I do know, and what the CDC shows, is that whether we can do that or not, whether we can eat what we need or not, we're not, right? I already told you some statistics. We're just not. So I found this product. I decided to give it a try. And this is why I decided to give it a try. It was a food. It wasn't a vitamin mineral supplement. If it would have been a supplement, I would have said, I'm not doing that. But it actually has a food label on it. And what it is just 30 fruits, vegetables, and berries. They take the whole food. It's not just juice. They take everything. They take the peel and the seeds and the rind. They take the whole thing and they just mash it up and make kind of a big slurry with it. And then they dry those into a powder. They put those powders into a gummy or capsule. That's it. I took it because it was a food. I took it because it was backed by clinical research and good clinical studies, written up in peer-reviewed journals. The majority of the studies are gold standard studies, so they're placebo controlled, and I'm blanking, but they are good studies. And I love that they are written up in peer-reviewed journals. You just cannot get, you can't buy your way into a peer-reviewed journal. They are bioavailable. And that's the first thing, whenever someone tells me they want to take another supplement or something, I always ask them, is it bioavailable? Juice Plus has been shown to get into the system within 20 minutes of taking it. So yeah, that made sense to me. And the research shows that it basically does what fruits and vegetables do in the body. And lastly, it's NSF certified. And that means basically that it's third-party tested. Everything that's on the label has been shown to be in the product, and nothing is in the product that isn't on the label. Works both ways. So when I started my health journey, this was it. I said, I'm going to do this for 1 year. I made a 1-year commitment. And that was the only change that I made, because I knew as a dietitian, if I made any other changes and I experienced, a change in my health, that I could say, well, it could have been the Juice Plus, it could have been this, it could have been that. But this was the only change I made. I didn't change my diet at all. And just going back to this picture a little bit, at the end of a year, my back and hip pain was significantly decreased. I was ready to move into a house that had all pull-out cabinets that was one level. We lived in a 2-story house at the time. I was looking for my geriatric home. And I literally couldn't bend down to get into my lower cupboards. And within the end of the year, I was doing that without problem. My knee had significant damage from 5 of my collegiate surgeries were on my knee, had significant damage, but I was able to hold off for 7 more years before having knee replacement surgery. In the picture on the far right, after I finished that run there, I couldn't walk for 20 minutes, like seriously couldn't walk. My joint was totally frozen. I was able to last for 7 more years before I had to have surgery. My allergies went away. I got off all of my allergy medication, and my psoriasis that I had taken medication for every day for 43 years. I'm not going to tell you that it was healed, but I went from the amount of medication that I was using in 1 month was now lasting me somewhere between 6 and 9 months. So I significantly decreased the amount of medication I need. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't like scratching my scalp all night long. You know, just I used to tell the doctor, I itch from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. It's just never, or from the time I get up to the time I get up, like it just never ended. And that is no longer. And those things alone made me a believer. And I decided to put Juice Plus into my dietetics practice in recommending it to other people because it had research behind it. It worked so well for me. And I thought I have to share this thing. So that is where this is when I decided I'm ready to take my health journey to the next step. And see, this is how health journeys work, you guys. You start and you do one simple thing. Maybe it's just add fruits and vegetables. Maybe it's add Juice Plus, but you don't do too much at once because the bottom line is you want it to last forever. You don't want to just do something that's going to last for 10 days or 2 weeks or a month or a year. All right. That's not going to give you the long-term lifestyle that you are really striving for. But after that, I decided to add complete shakes to my sort of regimen. I love that it was good macronutrition. So Juice Plus, the capsules or gummies are more micronutrition. They give you all the little phytonutrition that's in the vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that are in the foods. Complete shakes give you good calories, protein, calories and protein. They're macronutrition. They give you good calories. They have 11 plants in them. They have 13 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber, and the fiber acts as a prebiotic. So it gives you, it supports good gut health. It's low glycemic index, meaning that it doesn't make your blood sugars go up real quickly. It's safe for people with diabetes, and it is NSF certified, just like the capsules or the gummies are. So I started taking this today. This is my breakfast almost every morning. I might have something along with it, or I might just have a shake, but I know that every single day I have access to a good start. You have kids that don't want to eat very much for breakfast, send them off with one of these. They'll have a good start. All right. And then the other thing that I started doing was taking an omega 3, or I'm sorry, an omega supplement. It is not just omega 3s. It is actually omega 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9. I'm looking at the slide and it says omega 3 index. So there was a study done on our plant-based, no fish in our omegas, right? Fish eat algae to become high in omega 3s. So when they went to make this plant-based omega, they used algae oil, algal oil, and a bunch of other oils to make it a full spectrum omega, not just omega 3s. And they did a study on this that showed that it increased the omega 3 index. And what is the omega 3 index? It's basically the amount of omega that you have in your blood cells. If the more you have, the more fluidity your red blood cells have, and the healthier that they are, and the better work they can do for you. So the omega 3 index is an indicator of cardiovascular health. So they did a study with these, and the first set of lines, the blue, orange, green, and yellow lines are baseline, and the next set of lines is 16 weeks later on whatever product. So the blue was the control, And then you can see the orange took just the omegas, the green took the fruit, the berry, the fruit, veg, berry and omega, and the yellow took a double dose of the omegas. And I'm assuming it's a double dose of the omega with the fruit, veg, and berry. But if someone knows differently, you can put it in the chat. But what it showed is that you can see how significant that omega-3 index went from the control. So the blue is the control, taking just the omega did good, taking the fruit, the veg, and the berry with the omega did even better, and doubling up on those omegas did even better. What I think is exciting is that they found that Juice Plus did twice as much good regarding the omega-3 index in half the time. In half the time and with half the dose, I believe was the other thing too. So I love the omega-3s. Omega fatty acids are also important for fetal development, brain health, joint, skin, and eye health. So it is important to get enough in your diet. So, and finally, I would be remiss if I didn't put our tower garden. So as we go into food shortages, my gosh, my husband went to Safeway today to get me some zucchini. There were 4 of them. He said, I only took 2. So, and 2 days ago, they were completely out of them. So, but this is a growing system to grow your own produce, right? We have one that is in our dining room. You can grow indoors, you can grow outdoors. You can see less water, less space, more yield, fast, safe, nutritious. How many salmonella or E. coli outbreaks have we seen with lettuce or other produce in the last couple years? And I love the fact that anytime I need parsley or cilantro or something, I can go and just clip it right off of my tower, totally fresh, cut it, and it's good to go. So that is kind of where my health journey has taken me. I did that, and then one of the great things that the Juice Plus company supports is a program called Shred 10. And it is simply a simple 10-day program. Shred 10 does not stand for 10 pounds or anything like that. It's more 10 guidelines, but it is a 10-day reset program to really start thinking about lifestyle change. And the way there are a lot of Shred 10 groups that you can join it. We keep our Shred group going all the time so that you can hop on, and we are consistently encouraging people to keep advancing their health journey in there. But it is a free program for Juice Plus customers. And here's the thing is, we know that when you have either an accountability group or when you're in a group with like-minded people all doing the same thing, your level of success is going to be better. And this is a group that does just that. The focus is really to get more. I talked quite a bit about detoxification. So the focus of the Shred program is to get more whole foods in your body that provide the liver with the resources needed to get rid of toxins, because we know when that happens, a lot of good can be done. We run it in a private Facebook community. We're consistently giving support, recipes, information, inspiration, motivation. I've been in a lot of Facebook groups, and the Facebook group that we run, I've never had a negative comment in there. A lot of Facebook groups can get kind of nasty and, I don't know, petty. Never. It's nothing but supportive. I love it. And it's a diet. It's not a diet. It's a program to attain the lifestyle that you want. We meet people where they're at, and we promote progress over perfection. So it's consistently just trying to say, where are you at? Where do you want to go in this 10 days? And then the next month we get you right back in there, and we're like, okay, where are you at? Where you want to go in the next 10 days? And you might not want to go anywhere in those next 10 days, right? And I always like to give the example when I first started shredding. Where is it? Guideline number 7, eating after 6 p.m. We want people to stop eating around 6 p.m. There's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not going to get into it too much, but when I first saw that, I was like, I am not doing that. And for the first year and a half, I pretended like that guideline didn't exist, right? I wasn't ready for it for a bunch of different reasons. But I'll tell you today, if I eat after 6 p.m., I don't feel as good. And do I eat after 6 p.m. sometimes? Yes. I mean, we have functions that we go to, or we want to go out with friends or whatever. I don't fret over it, but I'll tell you, I don't feel as good sleeping that night if I have eaten past 6 p.m. So I'm just saying that my only point in mentioning that is that some guidelines you'll get and you'll be like, I can totally do that. And others you'll be like, I'll try it for 10 days and then I might have to just work on it later. But the key is to get just start wherever you're at and move yourself one step in the right direction, right? All right, so I want to talk about a few people that have done this program and have had such great success. And just because I want to give you hope of whatever health journey you're on, that great things can happen when you decide to take on a health journey. My first people are Shannon and Patrick. They reached out to me back in September, and they decided to start the Juice Plus Trio and Complete. So that's the fruit, the vegetable, the berry, and then that macro nutrition shake. They started shredding with me in September. They play pickleball most days, so they were already pretty active. In October, they completed their second shred, and both of them noticed a big improvement. They wear Fitbits or Apple Watches or whatever, but they told me that both of them had decreased heart rates, resting heart rates on their Fitbits, and that Patrick lost 9 pounds. His blood pressure dropped from 130/85 to 117/75. Shannon told me that she had less bloat. She was down 8 pounds. Shannon just reached out to me right before the January shred, which started yesterday, and she just said, oh, it's so awesome to be shredding again. I've now lost 18 pounds despite having Thanksgiving, our anniversary, a big trip that we took to see a son. And our kids are all home for Christmas, so we got a little bit off track, but we're still kind of hanging in there, and we're going to be right back on it on January 3rd. So 18 pounds down in 4 months is about as good as a dietitian wants to see someone, about as good of a rate that a dietitian wants to see someone losing weight. They both notice that their clothes and rings are fitting better. I'm so happy for Shannon and Patrick. Next off, Tony and Joanna. So that picture was taken in July of 2019, but I didn't meet Tony and Joanna until December of 2020. So a year and a half later, I could not find a more recent, I had to search their Facebook profile to find a picture, but Joanna tells me that picture from 2019 was about what they were at December of 2020. So they called me up. They said, hey, I've been kind of following you. I'd love to get on the shred. And so we started them out. They started out with the fruit, the vegetable, the berry, and the omega, and the complete. They started with everything. They also started doing my daily workouts, which I do. I lead a workout. I'm also a personal trainer, and I lead a workout Monday through Friday on my business page. So in the last year, Tony has lost, and I think it's a little more now, 44. He had 44 pounds of weight loss. You can see what his cholesterol has gone down from 220 to 197, improved energy. His soda intake has increased from 1 to 2 a day to 1 to 2 every 2 weeks. You guys, that is lifestyle change, right? That is lifestyle change when you make those little small changes like that. These guys have probably not skipped a workout. They work out every day with me. So they just don't miss. I mean, so they've added just a couple little, one at a time, adding these simple things. They initially, they weren't really cooking all shred friendly, they would go out to eat. And I think they still do. I think a lot of us do. I still go out to eat. I'm not 100% shred compliant my whole life, but I'm a lot more shred compliant than I was 5 years ago, a lot more days out of the year than just the 10 a month. Joanna, I think she told me she's over 40 pounds of weight loss now, no more bloat, improved energy and sense of well-being. Little small changes, consistent small changes. And Susan, I got to talk about Susan because she's 72 years old. And a lot of times we say, oh, it's impossible to lose weight when you're 72 or 50 or, after menopause. But her doctor told her she was borderline diabetic. She promised herself to make changes. She started walking and riding a bike, small little changes, and living a shred lifestyle. And I just talked to her daughter, Irene, who introduced me. She's down now 25 pounds. And let's see, oh my gosh. Oh, her thyroid, they were able to cut her thyroid medication down. Those are the effects of lifestyle change, right? That's what we're looking for. She was able to cut her thyroid medication down, and she's going to have her blood sugars checked later on this month. So I love it. And finally, I want to just bring up my friend Lisa. She's on the call tonight. Lisa yo-yo dieted for 26 years. And in 2015, she committed to a lifestyle change. She lost 50 pounds by counting macros, building lean muscle, doing all the right things. In 2017, she achieved her weight goal, but here's the thing, she wasn't feeling very good. She said her energy was low. She developed adult acne that required medication. And she'd been this yo-yo dieter forever. And she noticed that even though she was counting her macros and doing all the stuff that she had done to lose the 50 pounds, that she started seeing her weight start to creep up. She gained 10 pounds, and she was convinced that the cycle that she'd been battling for 26 years was going to start all over again, right? But she started shredding with us. And what do you do when you put lots of produce in your body? You decrease your toxic load. And for the last, first of all, her acne resolved when she started shredding with us. But within 3 months, that extra 10 pounds that she had gained after her 50-pound weight loss slowly started coming off. And she's been able to keep that off for the last 4 years. And she doesn't even have to she watches what she eats. I don't want to leave you with the idea that she just eats rogue. She pretty much follows a shred lifestyle, but she goes out and enjoys nights out with her husband and her family. She's, she's that mama that loves, she has 2 boys, and she's cooking for not only her boys, but all of their friends. And she's the party planner extraordinaire. She can put on a party like nobody's business, and she will enjoy what's going on, and she's able to keep that weight down. And that's the one thing that I noticed as well, is weight maintenance is so much easier when you decrease your toxic load. So, I have no idea how this is landing for anyone. I can't even see faces because so that I can see my slides, I've turned off like any face connected. I'm just talking to a screen right now, but I have no idea where people are at. But here's what I want to, this is one of my favorite slides ever in life in general. And it's worth me reading just because I love it. Sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life. Tiptoe if you must, but take the step. And I just love that because, you're here tonight to see, is a health journey something that I want to do? And I have no idea where it lands for you. But, I think maybe you want to just start small, and maybe you just want to say, you're going to say, like, from now on, I'm going to make half my plate fruit and vegetable, at least at one meal. And when I accomplish that, I'm going to try to do that at a second meal, to where you are putting lots of plants in your body every single day. We have another resource that you might use. You might go to healthylivingrevolution.com. There's a bunch of health webinars on there that you can access. There's a bunch of cookbooks that you can access as well on there. So, and there's exercise, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a little thing for kids to do to encourage kids to eat healthy and whatnot. But, so that might be where you want to start. Maybe you're looking at this health journey and you're saying, man, I'm going to start with that Juice Plus. I know I can't eat 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And I'm just going to start trying to get more produce in my body by eating as much as I can and taking that to supplement. So maybe you want to start there. Maybe you want to say, like, I'm going to go for it. I'm doing that shred thing. I want to see if I can really, feel the very best that I can. It works. It's amazing. And we have a great group if you want to do that. And maybe, like, you are taking this in and say, oh my gosh, this is making so much sense to me that I would love to inspire other people with this kind of thing. And I would love to join this mission. We're always looking for people that want to really, grab arms with us and share the mission, share these products with us. So maybe it is I know there's a lot of people that are leaving jobs right now or looking for other opportunities to make income. And maybe that's where you see yourself just coming along and joining us. It's $52 a year to join the business. So if that's something that you want to do, for sure, get with the person that invited you to watch this and they can get you set up. But that is all I have for me. I'm gonna, I have my, if you want to follow me on Facebook or my business Facebook page is Daily Dose Fitness and Nutrition LLC. That's where I do free workouts every morning. Instagram and TikTok, I am KFin67. So I have a lot of my knee replacement journey is on TikTok, is where I've found that to be most helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share and come back to my big view here and just ask if we have any questions. It's very quiet.
I think
oh, sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
do have a question. How much is it for first of all, Juice Plus, you said there's a shake?
Yeah.
There is a shake?
Yeah, the Complete is a protein powder that can be, it can be made into a shake. It can also be, you can use it. I often put like a scoop in oatmeal. It can be made into a pudding and a bunch of things, but we sometimes refer to it as a shake. And I actually forgot to mention too, that we do have a new shake that's just out, which is really geared toward athletes or performance recovery and enhancement. So that is another thing that has about double the protein that our Complete shake has. So that's something else to look at.
Does the protein oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Does the protein powder help with weight loss?
Well, it can be part of a weight loss program, I would say, but there's like nothing magical in it that's gonna, and I should have said this I should have said this back earlier, but really Juice Plus does not claim to cure or treat anything. So it's not a weight loss product, but it is part of a healthy diet that could help to promote weight loss. But weight loss, like I said, is kind of, you have to be in a calorie deficit to have weight loss. So take in fewer calories than you're burning off. And you really got to be putting a lot of plants in your body to really help to promote the toxic load, or how can I say it, to help promote weight maintenance, I guess, is how Juice Plus can help in that. So will it itself help to make you lose weight? Not necessarily, but in conjunction with the healthy lifestyle, it can be part of that program.
Does it have all the different vegetables and fruits in it?
It has plants in it. The Complete is more of a macro. It has 11 different plants in it. So it does have a lot of plants in it, but it is more of a macronutrition supplement. So it has carbohydrate and protein in it versus the Juice Plus capsules or gummies that have more of the micronutrition, the vitamins, the minerals, and the phytonutrition in it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No questions, just a comment, Kristin, that your explanations are just impeccable, for both scientific people, medical people like ourselves, and lay people. I just thought your presentation was stunning. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the feedback. Like I said, I couldn't see anyone's faces when I was on. So I was just talking to a screen. So it's a little anticlimactic for me, I guess. Or if everyone is sleeping, maybe it was a good thing for me, right? Ignorance is bliss.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, Barry.
So I'm taking the capsules, starting back on the shakes, starting to do the shred. I struggle a little bit with getting off of sugar, and it's not the sugar, it's chocolate specifically. And I think it's because chocolate itself, besides sugar, it's a little bit of a helps with the dopamine part. Just wondering if there's anything in particular that you might suggest to kind of ease off it. So I'm already have a gluten, but something that can help me get there so I can begin to flush it and get off that. Any ideas?
Yeah, well, I heard from someone that I really respect, Mitra Ray, who is actually the creator of the shred. And I heard her give a talk one time, and she said that, and I don't know if it's just chocolate or if other sugar like things kind of provide that, but she said the reason that is because you have, you know, your microbiome or your gut is full of good bacteria and bad bacteria, right? And the goal is to have more good than bad. But the bad bacteria in your gut eat sugar. So when you feed them sugar, you know, you kind of want more sugar. But she said the good news is if you can try to get through 3 days, she said 3 days, you can try to get through not having any sugar, that the bad bacteria in your gut start to die, and those cravings will decrease pretty quickly.
That's good to know. So I'm going to make the assertion that more fruits, more veggies, maybe more shakes during those 3, 5, 7 days, whatever, to get me over that hump.
Yeah.
It's the hump that I have a hard time with.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say, and sometimes I'll do that when I'm having a sugar, like I feel like I need some sugar, I'll do a complete shake. It gives me a little bit of sweet with a bunch of, you know, it's in a, or you could do the gummies too if you have gummies. They're kind of a hot commodity at this point.
Thanks so much for that. Great presentation.
Yeah. Anything else? All right. Well,
I have a question.
Sorry about that.
Hi,
Rachel.
can you hear me?
Go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, hi. I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, I don't think they can hear me.
I can hear you. Is Rachel on?
Yeah, hi. Can you see me? Oh, okay. So, hi, my name is Rachel. I'm a dietitian in Bakersfield.
Uh-huh.
I have a question about the gummy, juice gummy. So it's like, you know how many servings vegetable it is for like 2 pieces of gummy?
Yeah, so we don't, it would be like comparing, and this was a little bit tough for me when I first started because I wanted to like I wanted to make it comparable, but it's like comparing apples and oranges, which is, so you can't really like, we don't really say how many servings it is. It's concentrated produce in a gummy. So there's no way to really know how many servings it has, but it does have, you are getting small amounts, concentrated produce, small amounts of 30 different, or I guess the vegetable would be small amounts of 10 different veggies, you know, per serving of gummies.
Okay, so I can just basically tell people fill in the gap and all this, but I just want to tell them like how to increase more vegetable by this, but
right,
you know, it's the same.
Yeah, I would do it definitely. I would tell people like keep eating, eat as much vegetable. And I know with some kids, it's hard to get them to eat any. So we say this is like a bridge the gap. You know, it just helps to get more plant nutrition into their bodies. But I would try to, you're not going to be able to really say, oh, if you have 2 servings of vegetable and take your 2 gummies, that's like 4 servings. It's just, but you are going to put the nutrition of, like I said, like how often most of us don't eat artichokes and, you know, bilberries every day, but I'm getting them every day in that Juice Plus, whereas normally we wouldn't. It's a small amount. It's not a whole serving in each day, but just getting a little bit more in there every day really does, you know, over time, it makes a difference.
Okay, did you say that like eating this can also change people's taste bud of eating fruit and vegetable?
Yeah, so I think it has to deal somewhat with changing the microbiome. So when you feed the when the gut, it has to do with the balance of good and bad bacteria, but the more good bacteria that you get in the body, the more you're gonna, the body craves things that feed that good bacteria. So the same as, you know, how I was talking about, like if you eat sugar, that bad bacteria in your gut wants more sugar. So you will crave sugar. Same thing happens. They have found that the same thing, that kids that take Juice Plus start eating more fruits and vegetables. There, and we think we don't know exactly why that happens, but we think it's kind of programming on, somewhat programming within the gut, and probably having to do with the microbiome.
Okay, great. Thanks. I'll check out your website.
Okay. Anyone else, or are we good?
I think we're good. So I'm
All
going
right.
to the live stream and you can.
All right. Well, I appreciate everyone who got on tonight. If any of this, if something that you want to do, please reach out to the person that invited you to this talk, and they can get you more information. And with that, I will just say good night. Have a good night.
Thanks, Kristin, very much. Thanks everybody for hopping on. Have a great night.